Hello, and welcome to the first video study guide of this year. This is for our parts of speech unit, and the test for the parts of speech unit will be on Tuesday, September 22nd. So the first part of speech that we discussed were nouns, and the definition we have for nouns would be a person, place, animal, idea, or thing. In the example of a noun we'll use here, to stick with our social studies theme for the last week or so, we'll use panda, which of course falls into the animal category of nouns. It could also be a person, it could also be a location, the name of a place, it could be just ideas or any other thing you could possibly think of. And there are also proper nouns, which we'll discuss more later on, or naming specific people, places, animals, ideas, or things. And we'll also talk about pronouns a little later on this year, which are generally shorter words that are used to replace other nouns. But for right now, we're just going to focus on just your regular standard old noun. The second part of speech that we discussed was verbs, and those are action words. And we see the picture bouncing onto the screen. Bouncing is an example of a verb. But for our sentence that we'll construct here, we have the panda eats bamboo. We've added a second noun with bamboo. And the action word here, of course, is eats, which the panda does quite often. Our third part of speech are adjectives, and these are words that describe people, places, animals, ideas, or things. And that is the exact definition you'll see on your test because it's a little less specific. It doesn't really give away the answer. The definition I think we had in our book was a word that describes a noun or a pronoun, but the first part of the test is going to be matching the definitions to the terms. So I tried not to use the terms in the other definitions. So the definition you'll see on your test is on the screen. A word that describes a person, place, animal, idea, or thing. So here's our panda. And now our sentence becomes, the adorable panda eats delicious bamboo. And the adjectives here would be adorable, which describes the noun of panda, and delicious, which describes the noun of bamboo. And presumably the panda thinks the bamboo is delicious. I don't think we quite feel the same way. Our fourth and final part of speech, and this is the one that's probably the most difficult to grasp, and that is adverbs. And this is again the definition you'll see on your test. And this is a word that describes actions and other descriptive words. So the actions in this case would be verbs, and other descriptive words would be adjectives, or in some cases, other adverbs. So we're going to change our sentence quite a bit here to show the different kinds of adverbs that can be used in a sentence. So here comes our bouncing panda one more time. And our sentence now becomes, the adorable panda hungrily eats delicious bamboo. And the adverb in this sentence would be hungrily. In this case, this is describing the verb of eats. And it is telling us how the panda is eating. That's one of the ways that adverbs work. They tell us how something is happening. I could also add another adverb into the sentence by making it the extremely delicious bamboo. And what that is showing us is to what extent, which is another one of the categories that we discussed for adverbs. And extremely is describing delicious. It's telling us to what extent the bamboo is delicious. I could change the sentence again to say the adorable panda will hungrily eat the extremely delicious bamboo over there. And in this case, there is also an adverb because it's telling us a location. It's telling us where the bamboo is being eaten. So in this case, it's actually describing or modifying the word eat because it's telling us where. I can change the sentence even further and say very soon, the adorable panda will hungrily eat the extremely delicious bamboo. And I took out over there just because it kind of made the sentence clunky. But the two words that I added are also both adverbs. Very is another one of those to what extent adverbs. Very in this case is describing the adverb of soon. And what soon is telling us is when the bamboo is going to be eaten. So the four categories really that adverbs fall into. There are adverbs that tell us how something is being done. There are adverbs that tell us when something is being done. There are adverbs that tell us where something is being done. And then there are adverbs that are telling us to what extent something is being done or something is being described. So for the full sentence, we have the noun of panda and the noun of bamboo. The actions that are taking place, in this case, will is a verb, and eat, which is the verb we had from the very beginning. The words that are used to describe our nouns, so our adjectives, are adorable and delicious. And then there's several adverbs because adverbs come in so many different forms. We have very, soon, hungrily, and extremely. And then over and there also would have been adverbs, but I took those out. The only two words that we do not have a part of speech for in the sentence would be the word the, which appears twice. And that's actually an example of an article, which is something we'll describe later on this year. So for the test on Tuesday, part 1 is going to be definitions. So they'll have the 4 parts of speech, and there'll be 4 definitions, and you'll just match the correct definition to the correct term. And again, the definitions that are on this video study guide are pretty much word for word what you'll see in your test. Part 2 is identifying the parts of speech in sentences. There will be 2 sentences, and there will be a grid under each sentence with 4 columns, 1 for nouns, 1 for verbs, 1 for adjectives, and 1 for adverbs. So you're going to go through the sentence and write down examples of each of the parts of speech on that chart, and that's going to be for 2 different sentences. Part 3, you're going to fill in the blank with a word bank for 2 sentences. So there's 2 good descriptive sentences with lots of different descriptive words, so lots of adjectives and adverbs. And in the word box for each sentence, there are 4 words, 1 for each part of speech, and you have to figure out which word goes in which blank to make the sentence make sense, and then identify what part of speech each word is. And that'll make sense when you see the test. And then part 4 is you're going to write your own sentence using all 4 parts of speech. And it will be kind of a pre-write there as well. Another grid that will ask you what the subject of your sentence is, and that will be for your noun. It will ask you what the subject is doing, and that will be your verb. It will ask you how you can describe the subject, and that's going to be your adjective. And that's going to ask you to describe the other descriptive words or the other actions, and that would be your adverbs. And you can use that pre-write to then put together a full sentence. We will go over this more on Monday to make sure everybody's ready and squared away for the test. And all you have to do at this point is be ready for Tuesday.